Hello, everyone. Meteorologist Grant Smith here with meteorologist Spencer Fielding. We are closing in on winter here in Juneau. Actually, across the world, because it's meteorological winter. I don't think winter has actually begun, but meteorologically it has.
Unless you're in the southern hemisphere.
Unless you're in the southern hemisphere, still dealing with summertime. So to get us ready for the winter season, I brought in Spencer here to talk about a specific event that happened. Well, it was actually on spring. It was the first day of spring. We had a blizzard here in Juneau, and it was a lot of fun because I came from the plains. So a good winter storm blizzard, I always loved dealing with those growing up.
Seeing, coming from the desert Southwest, we don't really get blizzards. So the closest experience is if you go into the mountains. So for me, being in a true blizzard was like, this is new. This is a whole new experience.
Yeah, it was fantastic. The only new part for me was I got video and pictures by the ocean. So that was probably a little bit newer for me coming from, Kansas and South Dakota. So to recap, this was on March 1st. It was a winter storm that we updated to a blizzard warning because we started getting the defined definition of a blizzard, which is for 3 hours, gusts to 35 miles per hour.
35 miles an hour consistently.
Yep. Quarter-mile visibility and blowing snow. We had all three of those, so we updated to a blizzard warning. And then at the airport, we were getting gusts to 45 miles an hour. Blowing snow. We had the quarter-mile visibility at the airport confirmed, and then I confirmed that when I drove around a little bit. It was, I can't see very far. It was from around 9:30 a.m. to about 2 p.m. That time frame is when we had the worst of the conditions here in Juneau. We got a report of whiteout conditions on Egan Drive around noon. Schools let out early. There was a adult hockey league. They canceled their games that night. Eagle Crest did not open.
Yeah, they actually reported 70-mile-an-hour winds on top of Eagle Crest.
Wow. I didn't actually know that. I looked up all this stuff, and he's finding cool stuff for us. And then I went in, because I'm, a stats nerd, I looked at the last 10 years. So from 2013 to 2023, the Juneau office has only issued 14 blizzard warnings. And I talked to our Sue, and at least a good chunk of them were for the Skagway area up there on the mountains, up there on the pass.
Yeah.
So to get one in Juneau was like, ooh, something new.
Yeah, all new thing.
Yeah, and so I want to talk about this event as we get ready for the next winter season, but I specifically wanted to bring in Spencer because you were the mid-range forecaster for this event. So you got to be a part of the forecasting for 5 days as it started on your day 6 days out, and then you just watched it get closer and closer, and you redefined all the definition, getting things narrowed down, and then you were off. Your weekend was during the event, which, if you don't know, that's the dream.
That is the dream.
That's the dream for a meteorologist, is to have this big event come, and you're forecasting it, and then you get to be off work and get to stay home and experience it.
Yeah.
So thanks for coming in, Spencer. Thanks for letting us pick apart your brain about what this event, what it was like. And so take us back to late February. You're coming into work on your first day, and you see this potential winter storm coming on day 6.
Yeah. So,
take us through the process. What were you doing?
Like you're saying, the first day back, just came off of nights, totally out of it, totally just, trying to readjust to coming back to dayside life, and walk in. First thing I look in, just start pulling stuff up, and I see all this talk of, hey, there might be heavy precipitation for the southeast area. I'm going, wait, hold up a minute. And in the middle, keep in mind at this time, we're also right in the middle of another winter storm. We're going on right then. So it's kind of like, yeah, hey, we're going to have another one right on the hills. And so just going through and looking at all this information, all this probabilistic information and ensemble-based forecasting. And day one, I'm like, okay, maybe this might happen. I'm not going to put all my worth into it because I don't know. It's my first day. But it's getting my attention. I'm very much aware of, like, this could be something. This very well could be. a system
Yeah,
that
so-
could cause some problems.
Yeah, so you're looking out 6 days and the probabilistic data. So were you like the temperatures, I'm guessing?
Temperatures for that, precipitation, surface pressure plots of all of the likelihoods of where this low pressure center would go, and even then, and up to that point, it's like it would keep it in a perfect setup for us to get snow. Because keep in mind, right after that previous event, we went right into a cold snap, and we had more cold air outflow events. So we had that cold air set back up, which for us here in Southeast, that's perfect if you get that set up right before a system moves in. It's a great snowmaker.
Excellent. And so, you're looking at multiple days, using deterministic models. There's a lot of uncertainty with there. So you're looking at the next generation, probabilistic forecasting, and you're using the best data there is, and you're already got red flags of like, oh, maybe something's coming. So you come in the next day, next couple days, and what did anything change while you were piecing together this forecast?
Honestly, what kept changing is it looked more certain.
Wow.
The certainty just kept going and getting more like, okay, this is certain. We know something's going to happen. It's not just we don't know if it's going to happen. No, we're talking, this is certainly going to happen. It's just how much of an impact is it going to cause? Because it's at this point, it's like after like day 2, day 3, especially by day 3, it's like, this has got my attention. I am fully set. This has my attention. I know this is going to cause some problems. And originally, it was looking like it was mostly going to be Yakutat, and then the rest of the Panhandle might get snow turning to rain, and Yakutat would just get buried in snow. And, for those who know, Yakutat's just kind of out there, out in the flats, and they get a lot of precip, whether it be rain or snow. But as we got closer, it was looking more and more like it was going to become more of a snow event. Like more places. I mean, we're talking places in the southern Panhandle who don't see nearly as intense winter storms getting an intense winter storm coming in.
Yeah, and that's huge because I've been on the mid-range forecast desk where I would come in on the first day, and it was actually happened earlier this year in the fall, where it was like, okay, big rain event's coming this weekend, and then the next day I come in, all right, big rain's coming in on Sunday. Coming the next day, looks like it's going to be Monday. Like the big event just kept getting pushed back one day because the ridge just set up and wouldn't go anywhere. And so I'm all excited about this next rain event that just keeps getting perpetually pushed back. So for you to come in 2 to 3 days in a row, and the timing is the same, the impacts are going to be the same. We're still seeing snow, but it's just getting closer. And so that's got to be, fun for you. And so at what point are you starting to think that we need to issue some kind of product? At the first, like an SPS or a watch, when were you starting to think that?
Really, by my second day on, I was thinking we need something out. Because the certainty was high enough. It's like, let's get the message out there saying, hey, there's something down the line. It could bring an impactful to the area. We don't know exactly what, but it looks like it could bring a lot of precipitation to the area. So why not get that SPS out and get that information out to people? Because it's not going to hurt us. It's going to be out there for people to see. And when in doubt, if it ends up being a dud, it's a dud. But I'd rather get that notice out to everyone who needs to hear.
Yeah. And then, so eventually we issued the watch. And I remember you and we did a online forecast discussion about it. And we talked about the snow. We talked about the winds. Were you thinking at that time when we issued the watch, did blizzard ever come to your mind, or were you just thinking strong winter storm?
At that time, I was never even thinking blizzard. I was thinking strong winter storm, very good, very well could hit all, for criteria, could hit it and be just fine. And never in my mind would it cross blizzard.
Yeah, because I remember during the discussion, you were concerned about the winds, but we can be concerned about winds, but just the blizzard by definition, it has to be 35 miles per hour. So I remember we talking about that, and the blizzard didn't come to my mind either, because I'm like, oh, I've been here for 2-3 years. I've seen several winter storms, and yeah, the wind blows, but it doesn't get to blizzard category.
No.
Yeah.
And usually when the wind blows, it's when it's turning to rain.
Yes, yes.
It's
Because
not
when it switches
usually-
to the south, we watch the snow turn to rain and then becomes a nothing.
Yeah, you usually don't see it be windy and snowy as much as it was. It's usually starting to rain.
So all those rules of thumb that we just have stuck away in our brain, they didn't.
They
They didn't help us.
No.
And so let's talk about the amounts of snow, because you gave me this map. Let me see if I can pull it up. There we go. And so looking at the Juneau area, I'm seeing 10.5 inches. I'm seeing 6.5. Looks like north of town, I'm seeing like a 6 to 8. But then you look at Yakutat, 22, 17, report 17 inch. You got Haines, Skagway pushing 1 to 2 feet of snow. We got a report there in Pelican, 20 inches. So the amount of snow that fell in Juneau was nothing spectacular that we haven't seen every year. But it was just those winds that surprised us, because it didn't switch to snow or switch to rain.
Yeah, no, it was not. It wasn't the snow that was. I mean, like you said, Yakutat got a lot more, and yet it was just impactful.
Yeah, that's and then also down south, Prince of Wales Island, I'm seeing a couple reports there. Near Craig, I see 3 inches. I see North Prince of Wales, they got 12. Petersburg coming in at a report of 6.
Let's not forget Ketchikan, a report of about 8 to 10 inches of snow in Ketchikan, which for them, it's a lot of snow.
And that is a lot of snow for the Ketchikan area, for sure. So, that's neat. So, as far as you were using probabilistics, were you using the MBM at all? Because what I've noticed is that the MBM is fantastic for snowfall prediction if we know it's going to be snow. If we think at all it's going to switch over to rain, then we throw out the MBM, because it has you're generally a cold bias. So did the MBM, which is kind of our starting point for our forecast, did it do well? Did it help you in this?
It did overall really well. There was a little bias to it in some areas. Obviously, farther south had a little more bias, so I was kind of disregarding that. But overall, though, I would say it performed pretty good.
Excellent.
Combining that with all the other like ensemble forecast index stuff, anything like that it shined that day.
All right. So then going forward, what did you learn for yourself? And then you also presented on this. What did you want to share with us as forecasters on the ops floor? And what did you want to share with us of things that you learned from this event that we can use in the future for future events going forward?
From a forecaster's perspective, I'd say trust the probabilistic ensemble-based guidance. It can serve you very well, and it served me very well, especially with this long-timed event and just leading up to it. It showed it can know what it's doing, because the deterministic models at this point were just all over the place in that. That's what I love to say is they were out to lunch. They didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
They were just like, oh, it could go this way, it could go this way. But then as soon as you looked at the ensemble guidance that was ran instead of them, it was consistent. It was just like, yeah, we're at that point, we weren't arguing apples to oranges. It was apples to apples, just the size of the apple of how strong was this low going to be. It was not a question of, is it going to happen? It's just how strong are we talking? Because there were points where some of the ensemble guidance was pointing to a 950 millibar low in the Gulf of Alaska, which that's not something that would be something to shake stick at.
Yeah.
I mean, we always joke. It's like, everyone. The running joke in this office is, we get our own hurricanes in the winter with everything we get. These storms they pack a punch. People just don't realize it if they don't experience them, though.
Well, yeah, this was just a really neat event to be a part of, because I think I was the short-term forecaster that day, or this event. And so, I got to be a part of all of your discussions and what you were doing as it was building up. So by the time I got to the short-term forecast, it was more like it's already there, maybe some tiny adjustments here and there, but it's mostly just about the communication, which you and I did that video discussion. So I look forward to, if we get a winter storm, we'll look forward to doing more of those discussions in the future.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was, for me personally as an event, I thought it was great because one, that gave me that confidence, but two, it told me it showed to me I trusted my gut on that, and it worked out. But I also trusted what I knew and what I was taught, and that is what led to it being such a good storm lead up. But honestly, also the team, just having the team there to help and give me that support, and even just say, hey, I'll take care of this. You worry about that whole event.
Yeah. I remember Edward was our lead, and I thought he did a really good job guiding you because it was like your first big winter storm in Juneau as a Weather Service employee. Mm-hmm. And so Edward, our lead, was able to guide you in making the watch product, and then we got the warning. So it was just really good team effort.
Well, yeah.
That event. It was just the one rule of thumb that we just keep in the back of our mind. Oh, the wind will kick up and it'll switch over to rain. And I just didn't happen this time.
Yeah. And I had good short-term forecasters too who are willing to take more onto their plate, to take more days of forecasting so I could put more of my time into like days 4 and 5 at this point, which we're talking issuing a watch already. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's coming. Yeah. It's coming fast.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being on this special episode, getting us ready for the winter season and all of its fun. For you, once again, if you have any questions, feel free to email us about winter forecasting, or maybe you want to think about summer. You can ask us a summer forecasting question. But, as we mentioned, we have those video forecast discussions. We'll sometimes post on bigger events. Be on the lookout for those online. But for now, remember, you can send us those pictures, or not pictures, but the questions to juneau.weather@noaa.gov. Put Weather Seekers Podcast in the subject line. And thanks for watching, and thanks for being here. Let me pick your brain about this blizzard in springtime.
Hey, not a problem.